Hi, I'm Ahalan. I wanted to start a new series where I explain the where, how, and why about what's going on around us. So here we have Explains the News. As the title implies, I'll be going over some top headlines in the news on a weekly or semi weekly basis and going over a common theme that's popping up among them. This week's going to be extreme weather. Without further ado, let's get started. Our first headline is going to be the recent Vermont rainstorms and floods. This storm is the worst rainstorm in Vermont history, with rainfall records beating Tropical Storm Irene from 2011. As we can see on the map at the right, this particularly strong storm system first hit New York and New Jersey, then continued its rampage across New England, and Vermont bore the brunt of the flooding. In fact, Vermont's rainfall was so heavy that it's being considered a once a century scale event. Over on the left, we have a map of Vermont's watersheds, and the highlighted system is the Winooski River system. The Winooski flows through Montpelier, the state capital, and Burlington, the state's largest city. This river system overflowed due to the heavy rain, and given its proximity to Vermont's populace, it's no surprise that the damage has been so heavy. Our second headline is a bit of a combo. Both Europe and the US are under the effect of record breaking heat waves. A third of all Americans, mainly in the South and West, are under a heat wave advisory, with temperatures expected to hit or break 100 degrees in many areas. Death Valley, the current holder of the world's hottest recorded temperature, may break its own record of 134 degrees Fahrenheit in the coming days. The Southeast is also facing extreme humidity, and high ocean temperatures have been damaging coral and marine environments. In Europe, the anticyclone Cerberus, a high pressure weather system, has baked much of the Mediterranean and Eastern European regions. Many cities in Italy, Spain, Greece, and Turkey, from Rome and Athens to Istanbul and Barcelona, are under extreme heat advisories and warnings. Due to the heat, tourist destinations like the Acropolis have closed, and water reservoirs have experienced declining levels. Wildfires have also erupted in the Canary Islands and Croatia, forcing evacuations and sparking concerns over the blazes spreading. Monsoons, the subject of our final headline, have traditionally represented the rainy season in much of Asia. In recent years, however, these seasonal winds have grown increasingly destructive. Floods and heavy rains have struck much of the eastern and southern portions of the continent. Damage was particularly severe in northern India, where over 100 casualties induced by flooding have already been recorded. Flooding and landslides have devastated much of the region, from states like Himachal Pradesh in the north to Punjab in the west and Uttar Pradesh in the east. Over on the map at the left, we can see that India's greater watersheds can be divided into three areas. Most of the flooding happened in the west part of the Blue region, around the basin of the Yamuna River. This river, a major tributary of the Ganga and the main water source for millions in Delhi, Allahabad, and other parts of North India, has seen regular rises of 10 to 20 centimeters every day recently and has been at its highest level since 2010. So, what connects all of these simultaneous yet opposite extreme weather events around the US and the world? The answer is global warming, and I want to talk about it really briefly. Normally, much of the sun's heat bounces off Earth, either escaping the atmosphere or bouncing back into Earth. Greenhouse gases and pollutants emitted by various human activities, like carbon dioxide from cars and factories, or methane from landfills and agricultural waste, form a barrier that traps more heat, increasing our planet's temperature, hence the term greenhouse gas. The heat waves are pretty intuitive once you grasp global warming. A hotter planet means that extremely hot weather periods occur more often, in more areas of the world, and with greater intensity. However, that doesn't explain why storms and monsoons are getting stronger. To understand this, we first need to talk about humidity, the air's water vapor content. Let's check out the map on the left. Depending on temperature, air has a greater capacity to hold water content. Colder air has a much lower capacity, while hotter air has a higher capacity. Humidity measures how much of that capacity is filled. The polar regions have the highest overall humidity, but their capacity for water vapor isn't very high due to the low temperatures. I want to focus on the areas around the equator in particular, in South America, Africa, and around Indonesia. All of these areas have high humidity even though they have high temperature. In other words, both the temperature and the water content are high here. Why do deserts have low humidity and high temperature, though? The air systems that flow over deserts originate from cool ocean air with low water content. They heat up as they travel into deserts, but don't get extra water content. The big takeaway is that as the planet gets hotter, our air has a higher capacity for holding water. It definitely helps that the storm systems start out from increasingly hot oceans, which in turn evaporate more and further strengthen the storm and its eventual downpour. Combining these two factors, we can explain the increase in strength and damage from storms around the world. So, right now, what can we do about all of this? The most helpful thing you can do is to donate to a disaster relief organization like the Red Cross and Oxfam. I'll link some good places in the description. And if you're under weather advisory for extreme weather, particularly applicable to viewers under heat advisories, follow your local weather agency's guidelines for staying safe. That's all for now. See you next time.